All right, so last week we did a study, not a review. We were dealing with the tabernacle and all the very specific commands God gave for the building of the tabernacle. This week we're going to move into, they're on the edge of the promised land. The question for today is, why did the Israelites wander in the desert for 40 years? Does anybody know the answer?
They sent the spies in, and only two of them, Joshua and Caleb, came back with a good report. And so they didn't want to go in and deal with the giants. And so God said, you're not going to get anybody over 20 without the one with the 40 years,
Yep.
except for Caleb and Joshua.
Yep. They refused to go in. The specific 40 years is because the journey through the land for the 12 spies took 40 days. So God judged them 1 year for every day of the journey. But they refused to trust God. Seems like a recurring theme. All right, we have a new memory verse. Anybody know the new one? Deuteronomy 7:9. I've never seen you look worried, Mom.
It was a tough one. I've been trying, but I don't know. Know therefore that the Lord your God is God, the faithful God who keeps covenant and steadfast love with those who love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations.
Right on. All right. So today we're going to look at Moses sending spies into the land. We'll start in Numbers chapter 13. I'll do the reading since today seems to be full chapters instead of just verses. So starting in verse 1. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Send men to spy out of the land of Canaan, which I am giving to the people of Israel. For each tribe of their fathers you shall send a man, every one a chief among them." So Moses sent them from the wilderness of Paran, according to the command of the Lord, all of them who were the heads of the people of Israel. And these were their names. From the tribe of Reuben, Shammah, the son of Zakur. From the tribe of Simeon, Shaphat, the son of Hori. From the tribe of Judah, Caleb, the son of Junath. From the tribe of Issachar, Igal, the son of Joseph. From the tribe of Ephraim, Hosea, the son of Nun. From the tribe of Benjamin, Paltai, the son of Rufi. From the tribe of Zebulun, Gadiel, the son of Zodai. From the tribe of Joseph, that is, from the tribe of Manasseh, Gadai, the son of Sushi. From the tribe of Dan, Amiel, the son of Gamali. From the tribe of Asher, Suther, the son of Michael. From the tribe of Naphtali, Naphi, the son of Zophsi. From the tribe of Gad, Gaul, the son of Micah. These are the names of the men who Moses sent out to spy on the land. And Moses called Hoshea, the son of Nun, Joshua. Moses sent them to spy out the land of Canaan and said to them, "Go up to the Negeb and up to the hill country, and see what the land is, and whether the people who dwell in it are strong or weak, whether they are few or many, and whether the land that they dwell in is good or bad, and whether the cities they have that they dwell in are camps or strongholds, and whether the land is rich or poor, and whether there are trees in it or not. Be of good courage and bring some of the fruit of the land." Now the time was a season of the first ripe grapes. So they went up and spied out from the land of the wilderness of Zin to Rehob, near Lebahamath. Then they went up to Negev and came to Hebron. Ahiman, Sheshah, and Talmah, the descendants of Anak, were there. Hebron was built several years before Zoan in Egypt. And they came to the valley of Ashul and cut down from there a branch of a single cluster of grapes, and they carried it on a pole between two of them. They so brought some pomegranates and figs. The place was called the Valley of Ashul because of the clusters that the people of Israel cut down from there. At the end of 40 days, they returned from spying on the land. And they came to Moses and Aaron and all the congregation of the people of Israel in the wilderness of Paran at Kadesh. They brought back word to them and to all the congregation and showed them the fruit of the land. And they told him, "We came to the land to which you sent us. It flows with milk and honey, and this is its fruit. However, the people who dwell in the land are strong, and the cities are fortified and very large. And besides, we saw the descendants of Anak there. The Amalekites dwell in the land of Negeb. The Hittites, the Jebusites, and the Amorites dwell in the hill country, and the Canaanites dwell by the sea and along the Jordan." But Caleb quieted the people before Moses and said, Let us go up at once and occupy it, for we are well able to overcome it. Then the men who had gone up with him said, "We are not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we are." So they brought the people of Israel a bad report of the land that they spied out. "The land through which we have gone to spy out is a land that devours its inhabitants. And all the people that we saw in it are of great height. And there we saw the Nephilim, the sons of Anak, who come from the Nephilim. And we seemed to ourselves like grasshoppers, and so we seemed to them." So how many men did Moses send into the land? 12. One from each tribe. Yep. What were the spies supposed to do on their journey? Check out the land. People. Food. And cities. The cities, the strongholds. Yeah, I would still assume so. That way you can have a battle plan. You know God's going to win it for you, but it doesn't mean we don't do our part. That's the way I always looked at it. We still do our part and then trust God for the rest. So how far did they travel? I gave you all this map so you could see it better than on the board. They start out down here. I have mine here somewhere. They start out at Kadesh. That's down here. Where do they go to next? Rehob. So my guess, because the Bible doesn't really tell us, they leave here. They go through the wilderness of Zin. Then they make their way all the way up and around to Rehob at the northernmost point. Then from there, it tells us they go down to Hebron. So they spy the rest of the land on the way down here to Hebron. And then they make their way back to Kadesh. That way they could see all of the land. From up here to down here is about 180 miles. So it wasn't a short walk. It was 40 days to walk up and walk back. Who is Anak and why is he important to the mission of the spies? He's the giant. I mean, if I remember correctly, Goliath, which is a descendant of this group, was 9'6", somewhere around there in height. Makes me look small. They were very, very large. Nephilim? Yes, Nephilim were bad. And it all depends how you interpret Genesis chapter 6, which there are many different views. The sons of God taking wives and lay with the daughters of Seth. So I read that as angels having children with humans, which created the Nephilim, giants. The other half of the group believes it's the godly line having kids with the non-godly line, but that doesn't usually give you giants. In sons of God in the Old Testament, 99.5% of the time means angels. So I just take the easiest reading. But what happened to all the Nephilim after Genesis chapter 6? They were wiped out in the flood. How do we still have them? They don't tell us. Huh? Yeah. Half human, half angel. Some manipulation to the DNA. I don't know how it works, but they were just enormous. They were angels, watchers, according to Enoch, is what Enoch called them, was watchers, but they were just angels, like Lucifer, ones that fell with him. Yeah, so they're on the bad side. They're the fallen angels. The description doesn't really tell us, because the ones that walked up to Abraham in camp with the pre-incarnate Christ were human size. And then there's ones that you read about in Ezekiel that are the size of a planet, and they're a spear, and they have these rotting orbs around them covered in eyeballs. And so they're enormous. Read Ezekiel sometime. These things are like stars when you look out in the sky, and they have these rings that float around them that are covered with eyeballs, and there's different types of angels. And then there's cherubim and seraphim, and so we don't know which classification it was, but whatever it was, it created Nephilim. Yeah, there's parts of it we'll never fully be able to grasp until we're there. How long were the spies gone? Yep, 40 days. What 5 people groups are identified as being in the land? Yep, just remember the ites. It's all the ites. We covered Nephilim, so I'll skip them. What figure of speech do we have to interpret? We were like grasshoppers to them. So what's that mean? Jewish weren't very tall group of people to begin with. And then you put them next to the one we're given height, David and Goliath being 9'6" and 5'6". Even that, they're going to feel like grasshoppers. So we were very tiny compared to them. So what proof of goodness of the land did they return with? The grapes. Did you notice how big the grapes must be? On a pole across 2 people to carry 1 cluster of grapes. Must have been a huge cluster of grapes. They also brought pomegranates and figs. But that must have been a large cluster of grapes. I mean, I get them from the store. I can carry them 2 little fingers. They're 2 people. What was Caleb's response to the discouraging news? What did Caleb say when he came back? Yeah, he said, let's go. We got them. What was the reaction of the rest of the spies, minus Joshua? yeah, let's go back to Egypt. It's better there. Which is a great point. What's left in Egypt? Nothing. That land is completely destroyed. The army's wiped out. The food's wiped out. The cattle's wiped out. The fields are wiped out. What are they going to go back to even if they went back? There's nothing left. but they think it's better than going up into the land.
So they didn't rely on the Lord either.
No.
Just say that he can do anything, we can go in and take possession, if there's a kicker.
Yeah. Which is, what promise did they have to rely on that they were going to win? I printed a bunch of them for you. God promised Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that that land would be their descendants. God promised that he would fight for them. But they still refused. And they don't even have the excuse that we can see Pharaoh. We can't see God. God was, he was right with them the whole way through the camp, pillar by fire, pillar of smoke. He shook a whole mountain for 40 plus days in their presence.
Why didn't they even look at how he took care of the people? How he was always there, he kept them through the desert, he kept them going, and, they didn't, die because they didn't have food, he took care of everything.
Gave them water, sent them bread, sent quail into the camp, enough to feed what we estimate to be 2 million people. The land for Israel? Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, it's through all generations, and even if you read into the book of Revelation, it gets back to the land again. And if you read in Ezekiel and all that, there's a division in the land at the end times. So yeah, the land is promised throughout all generations. The whole world fights over that one, what's it, the size of Connecticut? I mean, it's not much, but the whole world fights over that one little piece of land. Yep, God promised it to somebody else, so the world wants to take it. Because who runs the world? And they will, till Christ's return, try to take that land.
Can't they get it? There's so much that happened, that God protected them, that land, all this time, and they've seen miracle after miracle, how he has protected them against the missiles and bombs and all kinds of things going on there, and they don't get it.
Yeah, but for 1920 some years, it was their land. God gave it over to them. They want it back. They still think it's theirs. I mean, they put their Dome of the Rock, the second or third most important place in their whole religion, on the Temple Mount. So they're going to fight over it until Christ settles it. All right, let's move to Numbers 14. I think I'm reading most of the chapter again. Then all the congregants raised a loud cry, and the people wept that night. And all the people of Israel grumbled against Moses and Aaron. The whole congregation said to them, "Would that we have died in the land of Egypt, or that we would have died in this wilderness." God grants that request here shortly. Why is the Lord bringing us into a land to fall by the swords? Our wives and our little ones will become prey. Would it not be better for us to go back to Egypt? And they said to one another, "Let us choose a leader and go back to Egypt." Then Moses and Aaron fell on their faces before the assembly of the congregation of the people of Israel. And Joshua the son of Nun and Caleb the son of Jephunneh, who were among those who'd spied out the land, tore their clothes and said to all the congregation of the people of Israel, "The land which we have passed through to spy it out is an exceedingly good land. If the Lord delights in us, he will bring us into the land and give it to us, a land that flows with milk and honey. Only do not rebel against the Lord, and do not fear the people of the land, for they are bread for us. Their protection is removed from them, and the Lord is with us. Do not fear them. Then all the congregation said to stone them with stones. But the glory of the Lord appeared at the tent of meeting to all the people of Israel. And the Lord said to Moses, how long will these people despise me? How long will they not believe in me, in spite of all the signs that I have done among them? I will strike them with a pestilence and dishearten them, and I will make a nation greater and mightier than they. But Moses said to the Lord, then the Egyptians will hear of it, for you brought up this people in your might from among them. And they will tell the inhabitants of this land, they have heard that you, O Lord, are in the midst of the people. For you, O Lord, are seen face to face, and your cloud stands over them, and you go before them in a pillar of cloud and a pillar of fire by night. If you kill this people as one man, then the nations who have heard your fame will say, it is because the Lord was not able to bring this people into the land that he swore to give to them, that he has killed them in the wilderness. And now, please let the power of the Lord be great as you promised, saying the Lord is slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love, forgiving iniquity and transgression, but he will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the father on the children to the third and fourth generation. Please pardon the iniquity of these people, according to the greatness of your steadfast love, just as you have forgiven this people from Egypt until now. Then the Lord said, I have pardoned according to your word. But truly as I live, and as all the earth shall be filled with the glory of the Lord, none of these men shall see my glory and my signs that I did in Egypt and in the wilderness, and yet have put them to the test these 10 times, and have not obeyed my voice, shall see the land that I have swore to give to your fathers, and none of these who despise me shall see it. But my servant Caleb, because he has a different spirit and has followed me fully, I will bring into the land into which he went, and his descendants shall possess it. Now since the Amalekites and the Canaanites dwell in the valleys, turn tomorrow and set out to the wilderness by the way of the Red Sea. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, how long shall this wicked congregation grumble against me? I have heard the grumblings of the people of Israel, which they are grumbling against me. Say to them, as I live, declares the Lord, what you have said in my hearing, I will do to you. Your dead bodies shall fall in the wilderness, and all your numbers listed in the census from 20 years old and upward, who have grumbled against me, not one shall come into the land where I swore that I would make you dwell, except Caleb the son of Jephthah and Joshua the son of Nun. But your little ones, who you said would become prey, I will bring in, and they shall know the land that you have rejected. But as far as you, your dead bodies shall fall in the wilderness, and your children shall be shepherds in the wilderness 40 years, and shall suffer for your faithlessness, until the last of your dead bodies lie in the wilderness. According to the number of days in which you spied out the land, 40 days, a year for each day, and you shall bear the iniquity 40 years, and you shall know my displeasure. I am the Lord, I the Lord have spoken. Surely this will I do to all the wicked congregation who are gathered together against me. In this wilderness they shall come to a full end, and there they shall die. And the men whom Moses sent to spy out the land, who returned and made all the congregation grumble against me by bringing up a bad report of the land, the men who brought up the bad report of the land died by plague before the Lord. Of these men who went to spy out the land, only Joshua the son of Nun and Caleb the son of Jephunneh remained alive. When Moses told these words to all the people of Israel, the people mourned greatly. And they rose early in the morning, went up to the heights of the hill country, saying, here we are, we will go up to the place where the Lord has promised, for we have sinned. But Moses said, why now are you transgressing the command of the Lord, when that will not succeed? Do not go up, for the Lord is not among you, lest he strike you down before your enemies. For the Amalekites and the Canaanites are facing you, and you shall fall by the sword, because you have turned back from the following the Lord. The Lord will not be with you. But they presumed to go up to the heights of the hill country, although neither the ark of the covenant or the Lord nor Moses departed out of the camp. Then the Amalekites and the Canaanites who lived in the hill country came down and defeated them and pursued them even to Horam. So how did Israel, in verses 1 through 4, decide to respond to the news of the spies? Wanted to return to Egypt. Wanted no part of it. Wanted a new leader, get rid of Moses. How did Moses and Aaron respond? They fell on their face. So what's falling on your face mean? Praying. How did Joshua and Caleb respond? That was 13 and 14, yeah. They were mourning. They were tearing their clothes. So they were in mourning. What reason did Joshua and Caleb give for taking the land? Why did they say we could do it? He'd be with them, and the protection of the ites groups was gone. How did the people respond to that? They wanted to stone the two guys to death. They wanted to stone them, Joshua and Caleb. What stopped them from stoning Joshua and Caleb? The Lord? How? What visible thing did God do when they went to stone him? Yeah. Descended down on the tabernacle. How did God respond to their complaining? He was angry. He was going to wipe them all out again. No. He was going to wipe them all out. And Moses does what? Intercedes for them again. How many times does it say they disobeyed God on this journey up to Israel? 10 times. Now, it's not clear if it's actually 10 times, but you'll notice it through the Old Testament, and even some in the New. 10 times is like completely. They just completely keep disobeying me. They completely keep not listening. I know, but they could see God. Yeah, more than we can see him today. Ish. They lacked faith. Yeah. Same thing. I mean, we look back and see the 70 weeks, and it lines up to the day, all these prophecies in the Old Testament. It should have been plain as day, but it wasn't. So, keep that in mind about a second coming. There's going to be a large section of Christians that are completely clueless as to the second coming because they don't follow. Yeah, second coming? No, he's coming as the warrior king. But it'll be missed by just as many because they won't understand it. Who was barred from going into the land? From 20 and up according to the last census. Yep. And that last census, if I remember right, was something like 600 and just shy of 614,000 men, age 20 and up. That's where we get 2 million to 3 million people, depending on how many women and children there were with the group. So that's 614,000 people that are going to die in the desert. We're out of time almost, but think about that. So now all these people also know they have 40 years or less to live. They probably don't believe that. Good point. But you know, the 10 that go up there with them, they die almost instantly of a plague. The other 10 spies get killed off by a plague. And then they turn around and, oh yeah, we'll go fight now. When God told you to go to the wilderness. Now we're going to go fight.
Takes something so dramatic to force them to do what they could have done at the beginning.
So, I mean, this is 2 years since the Exodus. 2 years is all they should have spent in the wilderness before entering and inheriting the promised land, and they ended up spending 42 years in the wilderness out of disobedience. Yeah, we do the same thing. Thankfully, God doesn't usually give us 40 years, but we'll wander the wilderness quite a while till we, okay, you're right, I'll listen. All right, let's close in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for preserving your word for us. We thank you for giving us something to learn from, to guide us of your righteousness, your truth, and our interaction with you should be in faith alone. If your word says it, Lord, we believe it. If you command it, we follow it. We do it all because we trust you, not the circumstances that you place us in. We praise you that you are always in control. In Jesus' name, amen.